Good morning. Today is March the 13th, I believe. It's a Sunday. I normally go out on Saturdays, but yesterday the weather was atrocious. And I didn't really feel like having ice being spit on me all day, so we're doing this on a Sunday. And we're going to head in, see what we find, and if nothing else, do a check-in on what's going on lately. We'll do that. And see what tracks we find, and if there's any signs of activity, we'll go with that too. A little bit windy today, so there might be some background noise. So we'll get going though and see what happens. Thanks. Okay, one more time. The camera was playing games. See how it plays. The temperature right now is mid-20s, so it's not freezing, but I'll just have to keep an eye on it. We're in the same area that we've been in for a while. There has been potential activity here in, I want to say last year, probably circa November. So it is worthy to come back through and do a sweep every now and then, look for tracks and the like. I've been meaning to get into the Berkshires, but the weather the last few weeks and some life happening, there's a sign of some kind of a small rodent. The weather has not been overly cooperative with getting up there. I will do that. I may just kind of admit some semi-defeat in that purpose and wait until we get into the latter part of the month and we don't have snow occurring every other day on the weekend, which is kind of a catch-22. Is on the one hand it's good for tracking and the like, but it's been kind of trying. Last week I didn't get out because of some more work-related considerations. Life happens that way too sometimes. I just broke through the ice. We have some tracks here. These look to be squirrel tracks. Yeah, so those are squirrel tracks from the look of it. But so far, basically what I would just call critter tracks. Squirrel, some kind of small rodent. On occasion when I come in here I'll find bobcat tracks. There is one in the area apparently. On occasion I'll find moose tracks in here, so there is a neighborhood moose about, but I haven't seen sign of him today. The first time I've been in here in 2 weeks, so. The snow conditions are different too. Of course, the path that runs through here is going to be all ice, so I'm going to stay off the path so I don't wipe out. And it's one of those where it's like that glazed ice and then snow on top of it, which is can be potentially treacherous. One of the other of two streams, but I didn't fall through that one. Apparently it was a smaller section of that. So the gentleman who left some comments on my last video he did respond. It wasn't really that trollish though, so I mean I guess we just have different views on the subject, which is fine. But we'll see if that ever evolves into any kind of thing. I don't know if he was like I said, I don't know if he was trying to troll up a rivalry or something. I don't really have time for that or the inclination, but as I wasn't out last week, I haven't heard from him, which is perfectly fine. We're just going to walk through here and do a tracking run, I suppose. But beyond that, I'm not going to delve into work or Okay, we're back. This is what I'm looking at. And I don't necessarily attribute this to nature or gravity because it does look a little bit more deliberate, but it's not really evidence of Bigfoot either. So for those that want to throw it out there, I took a couple of pictures of it, so when I get back home, we'll go on Facebook and just offer it up and see what people say. Just out of curiosity how they perceive it, but like I said, it's not proof positive of anything. It's one of the more interesting ones in that I think it does look like the sticks were more arranged than randomly falling in the place where I found them, but that's not to say that, you know, it's anything overly exotic either. It could have been people for all we know. But I'm going to try to keep a moving target because the wind is kind of high today, and when you factor in widowmakers and the like, more than once I have seen some sizable chunks of wood come down in my day, so kind of just at least be a moving target. But yeah, I guess you can throw Meldrum the bone of like being a quasi-expert. He actually is a primatologist, science-doing guy. So, you know, somebody like him or Disotell or Dr. Sykes, you know, give them some cred for. I don't necessarily agree with Sykes's theory of, you know, odd bear species for the Yeti, but he would have more credibility throwing his weight into that ring than I would, as he is like an actual, you know, I think he's from Oxford, like an actual real science place with some real cred. Unless you're a flat earther like Steve Isdall. It's not a full video if I don't take a poke at one of the freaking charlatans out there. Or Polites. But anyway, without going in down a rant to their rabbit hole, the other so-called experts you get at the conferences, though, the cast of Finding Bigfoot is like they're not experts. And here's the thing, don't get me wrong, I have met Cliff Barrickman. Cliff Barrickman is a very, very genuinely nice guy. I've met Cliff, I like Cliff. I would probably enjoy spending time in the field with Cliff. I've met Bobo. Bobo is also a very nice guy. I've also met Bobo. Bobo's a very, very nice guy and probably a hoot to hang out with. But I don't consider them to be experts because, and I am kind of deriving this from an actual Matt Moneymaker quote, being on TV does not make you an expert. It makes you somebody who got on TV. Not the same thing. Sorry, but not sorry. It's not the same thing. And you can say otherwise, but you're full of shit. And now it's the turn of the Expedition Bigfoot folks, the Accords and the girl with the facelift that got, I forget her name, and the other ones. But, you know, these people, and the thing in particular with Expedition Bigfoot, I actually, when they first came out, I did want to give them a sporting chance. And you can feel free to mock me because I'm literally walking to the same spot where I stepped in and got my foot wet before. So let's see if I repeat the same, or if I can walk. Nope, we did better second time around. But you know, I gave them an honest chance. And I did think it was cool when they had the big drone with the LiDAR and all that. That was actually a cool toy. But then you find out about all the fakery. The Dude Ranch and the Cinnabar nonsense. And I'm not going to go into this knee deep because Michael Merchant has already kind of taken over taken the reins of the beating up on Expedition Bigfoot Patrol. He's doing a fine job on that. But all of a sudden, these guys are being propped up as experts, and they're not, because there are no experts. Until somebody, this is the thing people hate hearing, but until somebody drags a dead or living specimen of one of these things out of the woods, willingly kicking or screaming or whatever, and provides science. Yes, I know Polites and ISDAL people, pesky science, but until you provide science with a mainstream, with a baseline specimen, to say this is what this is, not where we're into all the speculation where you're like, this is probably not what it is, where you can say this is what it is. Here we have one right here looking at us, or a dead one that we have on a slab in a lab. And we're like, okay, so it's blood, its DNA, and such are of the following characteristics on average, because we have one, or at least in the male of the species, because we have a male or a female, depending on what we get. But that is when you start to have an expert standing. But for the people that are out there on Facebook and like social media, and I'm talking about the twats, and I'm not going to be nice about this. When I'm talking about the twats that claim to have the forbidden knowledge, the minute you start playing that game is the very minute you're proving that you're completely full of shit and you're making stuff up. And you're not worthy of our time. But unfortunately, you're adding to the white noise on the subject. And that helps nobody. So frankly, screw you for doing it. What I talk about there, you have the wishful thinkers. These are the people that want to place Bigfoot in parks south of Boston or areas that are right around the corner, mainly because they're afraid to go out into big woods that are further out, I can only assume. Or the Church of the Stick Pile, as I call it. The ones that every little things like this that are, that must be Bigfoot. No, that's gravity. I would openly guarantee you that one is nothing but gravity. Same with this. And if you walk around in this area, you can find any one of a number of dozens of these so-called structures. And then you have the Mark Abel types that are like, all they do is structures, and because of that, he'll walk through an area like this, lovely scenic woodland, and out come the red arrows and the red circles, and before you know it, there's 40 fucking Bigfoot looking at you, pardon my French. At least they are in Mark's imagination, as active or as drug-induced as it is. Yes, I said that. So, that's the problem, and there are no experts. I think this is probably as good a time or place to wrap this up. I didn't really have any great expectations. I was going to go out yesterday, but you would have heard me cursing and being sick of having ice spit on me, so I came out here today, the better day. It's colder, but it's not spitting ice on me, so we'll take the win. But we're going to wrap it up here. Once the weather gets a little more conducive to travel, I'm going to, and gas prices kind of get over themselves. There's a sign of hope because my local gas station actually was down 4 cents from where it was. Down 4.45 from 4.49 a gallon for regular, no doubt. And we'll get there then. So hopefully this is the last kind of like rolling commentary. I can actually get out and do some real field work once the weather kind of gets better. In the meantime, thank you for watching and or listening, and feel free to like and subscribe if you feel so moved. And we're going to wrap this one up here and be on our way out. Again, thanks, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.